Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. I'm going to ask a fundamental question. I believe that she could give us an answer to that question. Why are we here? What are we doing here? I guess, what's our purpose? I just got a music download. She and I very much into music. Talking Heads, Once in a Lifetime. Part of the lyrics of the song after he says, "This is not my beautiful wife. This is not my beautiful car." And eventually he says, "Well, how did I get here?" That's the question we're going to try and answer today. Dr. Janine Ambrose joins us. She's somebody who has made it her life's work to dig into all of this stuff as somebody who has a PhD in philosophy and therapeutic counseling. And she also is a speaker, artist, musician, does energy work, all of that. Janine, welcome. How are you doing today?
Hi, Steve. Great.
Well, how did I get here? I don't know if you know the song I'm talking about. It is it's actually musicians of today say, many of them say they listen to that song once a month because just the melody and the lyrics and all that is genius. What's our purpose? What's your thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you what I've experienced. I have asked to see God, and who is God, because I had a problem with it being a man, that I think that the universe is balanced. And then I saw this big spiral in the sky, and the spiral holds all the universes. And it's infinite color, infinite intelligence, infinite anything that's just amazing. And we're a teardrop that come down into a physical body, a consciousness, a soul, to experience emotion, to experience love, to experience everything. And so that's where we have the choice on what we do with our lives. We all go through a certain amount of challenges because life is a yin and a yang. It's a valley and a hill constantly. But overcoming the valleys makes us realize and connect to our soul. And once we can do that, we can have it all. We are supposed to be wealthy. A lot of religious organizations teach people to tithe, which is great, but they don't explain to people why they should tithe. And when you give, you receive. So when you give to a spiritual organization, you receive. You give love, you receive it. And the more that you connect with that giving in all directions, the more oneness, the more connected to the soul we become. And everything is wonderful because nothing can take you down anymore. You understand what's happening, so you don't react. You don't feel sad. You don't get emotional. You just understand. And everyone can achieve that.
Wow. So tithing, I get. There are people that can say or will say, they're asking for money again. The churches wants money again. Okay. But I do know, I've experienced it. If you give, you get back. You shouldn't be giving just to get back, but that's the way the universe works. Do you have to give something financially? For example, if you donate your time, will you get something back? Will the universe reward you in some way?
Well, if you grow and overcome the things in your life that you're challenged with, the universe does bless you. There are beings, ascended masters, angels, or spirits, whatever you want to call them, that oversee us and watch over us and help us through difficult times. But the more that we give, the more the return is with unconditionally. Because a lot of times when you give, you think, well, I didn't get that back, but it might come back in a different way.
Right. That was going to be my next question or thought, that you might be expecting something, but it came back in another form. I did an energy healing with somebody earlier this year, and she said, I'm not going to charge you, but Venmo me $1. You need to Venmo. And she kept on me because I forgot to do it. And she said, I need that dollar because of the exchange of energy. It was she gave, now I give. There needed to be an exchange. Doesn't matter what it is, minimal amount, but that needed to take place. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, I might have a little bit of a different philosophy on that
Share it, please.
because I think a lot of times when we're doing healing work, there's healing going on in us. So there's already an exchange happening. Or at the end, if you give them a hug and give them love, it's like I teach my grandchildren to hug trees because when they hug and love the trees give it back. So I don't know if I get that defined about it, me personally, because I think whatever you give comes back in some form. And so I understand what she was saying because there has to be an exchange, but the exchange always doesn't have to be the same thing. Does that make sense? That's
Yeah,
a belief system to me.
sure, sure. And it sounded reasonable to
Yeah.
me. Um, you get what you give, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Hmm. What what really determines our purpose here? Why are we here? Or is it our life's purpose? That's what it's all about.
We're really here to be happy and enjoy life. If you go out in nature and sit there, there is such a harmony there, with the sound frequencies of the birds that balance us. And I think I talked about this in another podcast about how they evaluated people's brains that were enlightened and how it was all the sounds of nature and the ocean. Those were the frequencies that were going on in the brain. And so when we stay happy, we exude energy. And that's the place to get to. And when I had the fire and lost my house, my grand piano and all that, I went through a pretty difficult time in adjusting. But what I started doing was watching shows that made me laugh so I wouldn't be thinking about that and feeling like a victim and get myself back into being happy, into focusing on what really is important here. It's about me being happy and enjoying life. And a
Hmm.
lot of people don't know what make them happy, and that scares me because I've asked people, "What's your passion? What makes you happy?" And they'll go, "I'll have to think about that." And I went, "Oh my gosh."
Hmm. I've gotten to the point where lately, and I'm talking lately, and I'm going to be very transparent here. What makes me happy, not all the time, but when I need to, doing nothing.
I get you.
I'm always like, I got to do this. I got to fill that time up. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I've, in the last couple of months, kind of reversed that to, oh, I'm not going to do anything tonight. In fact, I'm in a men's group. We had a meeting last Wednesday. A couple of the men got COVID, so we canceled the meeting last minute. I didn't have any plans. I sat on the couch, laid around, pet the cat, hugged the dog, reflected. It was the best night I've had in a long time because I
Be,
don't
yeah.
know I don't know how to do it. So I did it. So it was, different for me. And I was just like, this is all right. I felt like I was the king of the castle. It was just, because I don't know how to do it. I don't normally do that. So it was a great experience. Just feeling just peace.
But we're kind of trained to produce.
Yes.
Then we feel guilty when we're not doing anything. I'm being lazy right now, and we're not because in that oneness and in that form of meditation, and it doesn't have to be, uh, that's a form of meditating what you did. It doesn't have to be the breathing. It doesn't have to be closing your eyes. Just being is a form of meditation and not having to do anything, but just be.
I'd rather do that many times than watch TV. And yes, I do pick up my phone occasionally while I'm laying there and sitting around and, then I'll put it down. And I'm just like this. Last night, I was just like, just thinking, just being. And I kind of dozed a little bit. Then I came back and I had to take care. I had a meeting, a Zoom meeting, and did that like 9 o'clock. But the peace peace is underrated.
Oh, yeah. And you can have it anywhere if you choose it. I want to give you a skill I want you to try.
Please.
And I did this in a sauna once where I just left my eyes open. I stared at the wall. And when you do that, you kind of go into a nirvana where all of a sudden everything's gone and there's just this oneness. And it's a beautiful experience. And that's with your eyes open. And we can do that.
I've done it unintentionally, but I've just stared. And then it's almost as if like it was a fast forward button pressed and everything went away. And then I don't even know I'm staring at an object. Could be a thumbtack on the wall. And I'm just staring at it, but everything else is gone. Um, and you brought back a memory. To illustrate your point, I did an energy healing session with somebody where I was asked to focus on one of those like squishy balls. It almost it's like it almost looks like a cat toy, and it was on this pole, and that's what I needed to focus on. And I did. You could pick the color you want. I said, "Give me purple, please." And I just stared at it, and that's what happened. And I was just fixated on it. It wasn't moving, obviously. And I went into it was almost like like I hypnotized myself. Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I have another one to tell you. When I was in Canada, this Oriental woman had mirrors and they lit a candle in front of the mirror. And you look into the light on the mirror, not the candle, on the mirror, and it takes you into the spirit world. And so when I was doing that, I went into the person sitting next to me's life, and then I told them what I saw for him. It was really powerful. So you have to try that one.
So candle in front of a mirror and you stare at the reflection of the candle
Yeah, in the mirror.
in the mirror.
So you put the candle lower, but then the candle's reflecting in the
Ah,
mirror, and you just stare into that, and you literally it opens a vortex.
side note, and I'll laser this. When I was staring at that cat toy, that's what it looked like. It brought me back to when I was in my 20s. And what I enjoyed doing at that time was I used to broadcast. I had a little transmitter, that went on the air. Even in my 20s, I was wearing a radio already, but I did my own, hobby, and I just enjoyed it. I did it every Saturday. It was just for fun, and some of my friends would tune in, and I would play whatever I want. And I even heard some of those songs come back while I was staring at this. I felt like I was there,
Cool.
and
That's
then I had a vision shortly thereafter of me on a high school track, not my own. I would just drive somewhere in my 20s and I would just jog and I would listen to music. And it was just, I loved it. I would even jog backwards. I would jog forwards. I would just like, hey, I'm happy. I'm happy, happy. It was my happy time. And I could remember the songs I listened to even at that time just by staring at that object. Nothing else. It just weird. Like it just took me back there. But for me, it was my wake up that I need to go back to those fun things that not necessarily those things, but that feeling of joy when I was younger. I don't know if that makes sense.
It's so funny because I'm looking at you and I kind of see your aura change when you start talking about that. You're get more pink and vibrant. Because even thinking of those things affects you.
It was a happy time.
Yeah.
It was a happy time. I don't know, it's silly, but but the fact that I can remember the songs, one by Steely Dan, another, whatever. I can go right back there by staring at an object. So I believe if we're intentional in doing that, do you believe in signs?
All the time.
So weirdness, I'll keep it really short. I don't know if I shared with you, I had a friend pass away and we did radio together. Uh, Super successful, sudden passing, still blows me away. Her name was Maria. And I dedicated the show, this concert. I was on stage, like 6,000 people, dedicated the show to her Saturday night. Leave the stage. Somebody introduces me to somebody else. Hi, what's your name? Hi, I'm Maria. I'm like, well, that's kind of funny. Wow. Interesting. I, I walk away. There's a line of women waiting for the bathroom, and I'm walking, along the line, just passing by. And one woman stops me. She goes, "Wait, I think I know you. Aren't you the guy from the radio?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And I said, "Yeah, that Steve and Maria show from back in the day." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I remember you used to listen." I'm like, "I don't know if you heard, but Maria passed away." She goes, "Oh my God, no." I'm like, "What's your name?" Maria. Oh,
Wow.
like
Isn't that cool?
it's
It's
like
so cool.
that's one of many, but that was just in succession, one person after another. The next person I met is another Maria. What are the chances? There's no coincidences. It's almost as if she was, sending a sign that she was there. I don't know. I don't know.
Really fun, isn't it? And the numbers. I mean, I'm seeing triple digits everywhere right now. I don't know
Hmm.
if you're seeing numbers like 111, 222. It's a sign that things are changing and things are moving. So that's another way for people to realize that,
Hmm.
to take a second and tune in. And just before the show, I have this thing with ravens. I was getting ready and I went out, this raven was calling. I went out there and there were two of them. And I looked at them and I started talking to them, and they were responding to me. It was really interesting. So the animals hear us when we talk to them. They feel us. I don't know where that came out of, but I needed to mention that for some
Well,
reason.
I just told my daughter that about 4 hours ago, that animals are listening. They can hear. Like I, she's practicing driving. She was driving. She goes, "Oh, a little squirrel." And I said, "Focus on the energy there and tell a squirrel to move. Just they can hear what we're saying. They can sense it." And I truly believe that. And so, like there's a reason, like we have two cats. There's a reason that they act the way they do because we act a certain way to them. I think they pick up on the energy.
Teachers love. That's what they're here. But I mean, there's also animals that kill each other for survival, but that's all instinctive. With
Right.
us, we have choices, which makes it different. You can
Um,
tell a fly to leave your house. I did the other day. I had a fly in the house and I said, "You have to leave." So I opened the door and it flew out.
I don't want to kill a fly. It's just
Don't
if
either.
you just go, just be free. Just don't be here. We don't need you.
That's right.
I don't need you doing
Uh,
what you do. Um, Final question before we run out of time. You mentioned your home and a fire. Traumatic experience, heartbreaking, loss of everything, memories, everything. How did you get through that?
I played Bon Jovi, It's My Life, quite a bit, very loud. And I just told myself that I am going to be who I am and keep the love and joy I have. And after a few days, I mean, I got robbed too. They stole all my jewelry the day after the fire because it didn't completely destroy the house, but they stole everything from me. And I said, wow, I feel so much lighter. I don't have all this stuff hanging on me anymore. So I had to buy a condo real quick. So I got a condo and I had to buy new furniture. And I went, wow, out with the old, in with the new. It's my new life. So it's all on how we want to perceive it. But at
Wow.
first, it was kind of devastating, I have to admit, because I lost my piano. I didn't have my kids' pictures there. I have a storage unit where I have a lot of stuff. So luckily, I didn't have that.
Wow. Um, Thank you for sharing. I feel I have to share this. That
Okay.
song, "It's My Life." The woman that I'm referring to, Maria, when gas prices were high, that song was out. We did a parody of it and we called it "Kiss Our Gas" as just a joke, and we gave away free gas. And we used
Oh,
that song.
oh, that's cool.
And here I am talking about her, and you just mentioned that song. Weirdness.
It's a great song. You should
Oh,
listen to it.
it's a fantastic song.
I love that song.
Yeah, it says a lot.
Yeah.
And we're out of time. Next time we get together, we are going to play music. You are going to play music. We're going to figure this piano thing out because this is impactful and healing for many.
Great, Steve.
Yeah. Give me your energy. It's amazing. It really is. Yeah. Janine, thank you so much. What's your website, by the way?
www.docja.pro. Pro.
And talking about music, there are links to music that can be helpful on that website as well.
Yeah, I really don't have my CDs on there that heal the sinus cavities. I'm working on that. I have a bunch of things in my TV shows that I want to put on there, and it's all coming together.
Gotcha. All right.
The journey with Janine.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much for today, and we'll talk soon, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.